me, I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, it was a chosen profession. It's not that accidentally I landed up here. As a kid, law was always like the first option for me. I have been like born and brought up in a small town, and the aura and the entire like value worth which is given to a big lawyer, those fancy lawyers in a small town, is just unmatchable. So that was like one of the factors which contributed me to and my interest towards the legal field. Gradually with time, I came to know about corporate law as an option in career. So my like preference shifted from criminal law and regular law to corporate law. So that was a change which happened towards the end of like my high school and that time. But definitely as a kid, I always aspired to be a like law aspirant, somebody in legal profession. I know it doesn't sound so cool like as compared to other professions. Every child wants to be an astronaut or scientist or something else. But yeah, for me, law was the first preference always. So first of all, obviously business law is a very like wide term. A lot of like practice areas and subjects fall into it. So most of us, like 80% of the law graduates or law aspirants who are currently in law school, most of us, for us, corporate law is like the first option that everybody wants to enter into corporate field. Corporate law being like the most like fancy of the lot right now. So, and business law is very much, it's the same as corporate law only, just that it has a lot more connotations and more like sub practice areas, niche practice areas within it. So business is ultimately advising the business as a whole, like in deals, non-deal activities, deal activities, business activities, a lot of stuff. So the common parts of business law are like mergers, acquisition, private equity, which is like more or less the transactional part of it. So my experience in business law, it started with my first venture itself, Vash Associates, where I started my career. So it was more like inclined towards mergers and acquisitions, like big M&A activities happening and all. And slowly with all my other ventures, I explored private equity, venture capital, IPOs, capital markets, foreign FDI part. So more or less every aspect what comes under the general connotations of business law. So yeah, so there are different niche areas within it, what we generally term as business law in general. Going by my experience, I think the exposure and opportunities for law graduates in this field is unmatchable. Like whatever like they think as a law student that corporate law is their first preference because it's lucrative, it's a money making domain, it's like I don't know the term, but maybe like fancier version of law. It is the reality actually. It is very fancy, it is lucrative. You get to work with the big guys in the industry. Like even if like a first year law legal advisor or lawyer as an associate, you will be sitting on the same table with the MDs and CEOs of big ventures, helping in making their deals come true kind of thing. So that's the kind of exposure you will get, and that's the day one of it. Once you cross 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, learning and exposure is just limitless. Only thing is that we should be open to learning. A lot of time what happens, like as a young lawyer associate in first or second year itself, we think that we have done some big deals, now we know everything, we have worked with bigger name, AZB, CAM, Trilegal, now we know everything. So that's I think it's a mistake on the part of law associates and new guys. Definitely learning is a big part in any business law or deal making activity, and only once you cross on an average say 5 to 6 years, then you'll reach a stage where you can say that yes, now I know the business laws kind of situation. Before that, it's just learning goes even after 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. I'm in my 12th year and I'm still learning. There's no end to it, but definitely opportunities and the kind of return you get in both ways, in terms of your career, money, everything, it's just what any lawyer wants. Yeah, absolutely. So correct. I've been fortunate in that sense. Like I've worked with some of the biggest names in the industry, which was actually very enriching. The kind of experience you get with these renowned lawyers of India, it's actually worth it, all the hype. Like it's just not about brand you are working with, but mainly the persons you are working with. Even if you're working with big brands, it's important to work with those guys who really matter. A law firm is a law firm, but actual reality comes with the persons who are behind it, kind of thing. So I was fortunate enough to work with like some of the leading lawyers of India, big brands, and those definitely add to your like overall experience and what you stand today. So as you're aware, I started my career with Vash Associates, which is a mid-tier firm specializing in tax. I was in the corporate team. I think that was the best start anybody could get. Like the kind of experience I got in those 3.5 years, it was just to another level. Like even my previous answer, I quoted like being a part of big deals in your first year itself, working directly with the MD, CEOs, and all. That's the kind of experience I got in my first year itself. So it was like a perfect kick-off start off to the career. Going by then, it was then just step by step upwards always. Like working with AZB, CAM, it gives you that brand power, that confidence to carry yourself in market. They are actually producing elite lawyers. It's a fact. And once you work with them, it actually adds a lot to your profile. You get that confidence to carry yourself in market, to represent your views confidently in front of anyone. So I think that's just unmatchable. And again, like those firms are what like their known lawyers and big lawyers have made them. And that's actually a fact, very fact. It's like worth all the hype. Then I definitely want to quote like my experience with JSA, which was a big thing, like the kind of exposure, big deals, my entire real estate fascination. It all came from JSA. I was working directly with Mr. Chandy, and it was like never before, like the kind of experience. Like even if I was working for 20 hours a day, it was all worth it, the kind of exposure I got it. And that's the whole reason why I ended up in real estate sector today. My entire fascination, love, and like that desire to be in this sector is because of the deals I did there. So definitely working with these big brands, big names, what all like completely worth. In between, I also work for ARA Law, which was a boutique firm, not a big name, but definitely the kind of exposure I got there, like I was made a partner when I was just 29. So getting a responsibility at that age to handle a team, an office, clients, I think all those just was like a perfect ingredient to where I reached today. So definitely, like no matter whether the name is small, mid-tier, large tier, every law firm, every organization, every lawyer with whom you work, who mentors you, has a role to play in your career. So for me, all this, whether it was Vash, ARA or AZB, Amarchand, JSA, everybody had a very like crucial role to shape up and be where I am today. So I'm really thankful to all those guys. So I think, honestly, in my experience, legal industry wasn't that affected by the entire COVID and work from home scenario. Like personally, I feel as lawyers, as corporate lawyers, it's very easy for us to work from home. Like in law firms or any legal industry thing, other than human resource, you don't need any other resource. Your library, everything is online. So for us, transition from like physical setup to online setup, virtual setup was quite convenient. Obviously, initially when COVID came and all, and the entire pandemic scenario, there was a lot of uncertainty. It was like completely unprecedented. Those were difficult times, and people like they were facing different things. Like similarly, the legal industry, like different challenges were coming, different opportunities were also coming at the same time. I think one good thing about legal field is when the times are good, you are making deals. When times are bad, you are actually advising on how to break deals. So in every situation for lawyers, like one or the other opportunity is always there. There are like, having said that, coming to your question directly, like I think with this entire virtual setup, COVID, work from home, and different smaller business getting affected and all, I saw a lot of these, and especially young lawyers and all, taking interest in cyber laws, cyber security, because of entire this virtual scenario coming into which a virtual world in making. And similarly, like although courts, they had their own way of like online hearing and all, but again, like a gradual shift happened towards ADRs, because the kind of problems which people were facing, it was all new. like going to a court of law for like these kind of problems which were coming because of COVID and arrangement with the parties and entire pandemic scenario. It just made the importance of ADR far more important than it was before. ADR was always like a lucrative thing, like whether as a dispute resolution forum or as a career opportunity. But this entire pandemic thing and virtual model made the entire ADR field even more lucrative. So yeah, definitely cybersecurity, cyber laws, ADRs are some of the niche areas which grew a lot after this entire pandemic thing. And generally in terms of our standard typical practice areas and all, I think startup industry is still booming. During pandemic and all, they faced some crisis in terms of like funding or like their business models and all. But again, I think last 1 year they have picked up, and all the industries in startup, I think they are doing well only. So I think those are still growing. So PEVC continues to be like one of the lucrative field for the aspirants. Other than that, I think the system for us legal industry fortunately is not that affected. We have now more options than before, definitely. So that's a good thing. Coming to the last part of your question about having a need to prove yourself in the ecosystem. I think as a lawyer, you just continue to prove yourself every time. Like whether you start as a fresh law graduate and do your first, you're doing your first job, or you are doing managing an office as a 10-year, 20 years experience thing, you have to prove, because challenges you get, it's on daily basis. Like just to give an example, I've been working with nucleus office parks since last 1.5 years, and there has not been even like one single dry day. Every day I come up, there is like a new sort of challenge which you need to prove whether you are capable of handling or not, which in a way is good because you don't get bored. Every day is a challenge. Don't miss law firms, you don't miss those challenges. But yeah, again, it's an ecosystem where you need to prove yourself. You are responsible for a lot of things. Legal industry ultimately has a lot of like burden on its shoulder. It's definitely more than just making contracts. So that proving thing, to prove yourself, it comes every time. Whether you are starting something, you are switching your job from one organization to another, you are switching from law firm to in-house, different kind of role. Within in-house, you are taking more responsibility. It's just going to keep on increasing. Like as a 12-year experienced guy, I have much more like stake and more to prove than a first-year law associate. So it's a never-ending thing. Proving is, I think it's a you just need to prove yourself every day in this field. So to be very candid, other than legal updates, I'm not much into reading. Like in fact, I face this criticism every time that why don't you read? Like reading is a big thing. So I don't read much. Other than those, I just know the authors whose work got converted into movies or shows. So going by that, I would say maybe George Martin or someone who wrote GOT, or maybe John Grisham for the book and movies The Firm. All those, but definitely I'm not a reading person. All these things are because of the shows and movies they were converted into. So definitely that has to be Harvey Specter from Suits. I think that confidence, charm, this entire like high standards which it just comes naturally from his personality. So either you will fall in love with him or you'll be jealous of him. In one or the other way, definitely I think that's the best legal like aspirational character to be. So not much of a sport person. I just love to watch cricket when it's India versus Pakistan kind of thing. But yeah, definitely like I'm from Bangalore, so Virat Kohli. I think it's definitely the family. The reason I'm saying family is, and I'll be very candid here, is I think the entire motivation comes to have a better family life, to have that work-life balance, and to have that work-life balance, your responsibility towards your profession becomes even more higher. You need to be like at that level of your profession to expect this level of work-life balance. So family is definitely the motivation to spend more time with family, to have quality time with them without stress and all. You need to be excellent at this level of your professional life. If you give like reach this level, give your 101% and ensure that everything is going fine, then you will get that level of work-life balance and family satisfaction. So I think family is definitely the motivation for me to like keep going. So I think as a law student or a fresh graduate and all, I think just have confidence. What you are doing, where you are right now, it's actually the right place. Law school is the best time of your life. At times, I think third or fourth year, it becomes like stressful because of this entire law school curriculum, pressure to get a good law firm job, internship. It just take a role on you. But just don't get affected by it. It's the best time of your life. Enjoy it. Take your internships very seriously, because that's like 70% of the source to get into a good place, to get that exposure, to meet the like qualified people from your profession. And it's a small field, just remember. So you'll be interacting with and keep meeting those guys again and again. So internships, more than for PPOs, it's just very important for the law students. Once you enter the field, just give your 100% and don't shy away from taking chances. You need experience, you need stability. At the same time, you need to ensure that you are in the correct place. The kind of work which you actually want to do, you are doing that work. There's a lot of like opportunities in this field which is limitless. You just need to be at correct place and doing exactly what you really want to do. So internships will help you with that also, to actually understand what you really want to do. So enjoy your law schools, take your internship seriously, and once you enter the field, don't shy away from taking risks and giving your 101%. It's a stressful job. It requires a lot of like your patience, but once you give it for some time, then sky is the limit for you to go for it.